Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Two mornings with the focus, as always. Wilson Tarpe Jr. I think we'll have Justin Walters, the Sports Ruckus, joining us in just a few. But just a reminder how things go. So, open discussion. We got some things that are already scripted we want to discuss with you this morning. Lately, we've been starting with the NBA playoffs, and we get on to some other things. That said, I think I saw Kirksey in here already. So I think you beat us to it this morning. What's going on, Kirksey? Appreciate you tuning in as always. And doing okay this morning, man. Not too bad. Cannot complain. Um, Look, NBA playoffs, man. I don't know what's up in the Eastern Conference Finals. I swear, every other day, every other game, somebody's getting punched. I think we got like the swings in that series have been so crazy. And I know, obviously it's two very good defensive teams, but still the swings are nuts. Like they're I haven't been able to wrap my mind around it fully. Um, but let me go ahead and pull something up for you guys real quick. So would love to hear what y'all have to think about it already. But yeah, I haven't been able to kind of, you know, really really get a good beat on this series yet, man. Again, every other day. Uh, you know, a pendulum swings again. The swings are just crazy. Yeah, it's wild. Um, and it's almost like from quarter to quarter. It seems at times like there's really no like at least it feels like there's an ebb and flow to the Warriors Mavs series at least, right? Whether you like the flow or you don't like it, it feels like there's a typical flow to those games. These are just somebody comes out in the first half, puts hands on the other, and then see whoever was getting punched how they respond in the second half. And typically, the team either responds to it well or they don't, and that's it. It's literally been that wild in terms of the swings. Last night, though, Derek White scored the first 7 points of last night's game, getting the start with Marcus Smart being out. And the Celtics never looked back. I think they were leading 18-1 at one point. The series is now tied at 2 as they beat the Heat 102-82 last night. Game 5 is slated for Wednesday in Miami. The starting five of the Miami Heat, they scored a combined 18 points. All five players combined to score 18 points. They shot 7 of 36 from the floor. Their starting unit did. 7 of 36 from the floor. Victor Oladipo led the Heat with 23 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists off the bench. Duncan Robinson seemed to find his shooting stroke a little bit. He ended with 14 points. And Caleb Martin, those three felt like they were the only members of the Heat that showed up ready to play and match the intensity of the Celtics. However, all three of those players came off their bench. I go back again. 7 of 36 for your starting five. I don't know what anybody expects to happen from that. Again, I'm still stuck on that number. It's probably going to take me a little bit to get over said number, but 7 of 36. Dude, that's your starting five. It's legit your starting five. That's Kyle Lowry. It's Jimmy Butler who returned for this game. Bam, coming off a good game. PJ, and we know we're not expecting PJ to come out and average 15 or 20 or anything like that. No Tyler Hero, but still, your starting lineup can't score 18 combined points, man. That's ridiculous. As for the Celtics, Jason Tatum responded from a bad game, which he's typically done this postseason when he's had a few stinkers, a few clunkers, if you will, and he's responded accordingly. He finished with 31 points, 8 rebounds and 5 assists. Lob Williams had 12 points and 9 rebounds. Peyton Pritchard, 14 points off the bench. Derek White finished with 13 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. Again, Boston's depth, Miami's depth. Both teams have gotten contributions from their benches in the series. But again, man, if you're Miami, you won game 3 the way that you did win it. You had to hold on. You did so without Jimmy. and then you come into this game and just absolutely get stomped from the opening minutes. I don't understand. I don't get that. You got a bunch of vets on your team. You're a well coached team. Again, the swing shouldn't be that wide. They just really shouldn't. Boston had 5 players in double figures, but it was their defense. They weaponized their defense as they typically do after a loss, and that's what led them the whole way. They were aggressive on the end. They gave up just 11 points in the opening quarter. And I wish I took the time to go find out how many of those 11 for Miami came from their starters. Neither team shot the ball well. However, Boston held Miami to 33% shooting from the floor and then punished them on the glass. I think it was 60-49 or 60-39 on the glass, I believe. Tonight is game 4 of the Dallas Golden State series. And look, man, there's not a whole bunch of analysis in that one. Dallas either wins tonight and avoids the sweep, or another way to look at it is they delay the inevitable and they get a win tonight to extend the series, which means game 5 would be back in the Bay at the Chase Center. Or, you go out and make history and you get on a run here. But regardless of all those possibilities, right, at least for Dallas, it starts with just one game. They have to win tonight. Otherwise, the season's over. So we'll see how things go on that front tonight, and we'll definitely talk about that tomorrow morning. But just overall with the playoffs, is anything you guys wanted to talk about? Anything you guys wanted to touch on? I know we're getting closer to finals. The closer we get to the finals means the closer we get to the off season. See how crazy that may be. We've already had some movement as far as folks front offices go. But, we'll get into some of that stuff probably a little bit tomorrow. We got Justin joining in a little bit. I think, what are we talking about today? They were talking about some of the veteran wide receivers that got moved in the NFL. And, the teams that got moved to. Going to be talking about that to see where kind of determine the fits, who had the best fits for where they went. And obviously there are going to be some big name guys that we address. And there'll still be some guys on the lower end that where, some people aren't talking about them as much. But we'll see. All right, give me 1 second, Kirsty, and I'll get to you. Send this to Justin real quick. All right, you said you think this Heat series is going 6 or 7? Look, man, with them, I've decided not to try to think too much about it because they're literally on like a quarter-by-quarter basis in that series. I have no idea what's going on or when it's going on, honestly. I just have no freaking clue. I could easily see it going 7. And then with the way these teams are weird, I could also see either one of those teams getting back-to-back wins. We just don't know. It's been nuts, man. It's just honestly been nuts. We've seen Boston deliver a defense performance like they did last night. Then, you go a game before, they couldn't stop anything. It felt like at times. So I don't know. I'm waiting for, and I'm sure some of it has to do with the health of folks in and out the lineups, but I'll be honest, man, I don't really care about all that right now. It's the Eastern Conference Finals. And the thing is, it's happening on both sides in terms of, juggling players in and out of your lineups due to injury and different things of that nature. You're both going through it. So, I don't want to really hear about it being too much of an excuse because we watch both teams win games where, sometimes their big guns, their horses didn't do great. Again, Tatum went for 31 last night. Jaylen Brown, for as good as a game 3 he had, rough night last night, shot 5 of 20, but Boston won by 20. Again, just make it make sense in the series. That's all I would like is some modicum of consistency, and I don't believe we're going to get it at all. But I don't know. And as far as the night, I don't know if this is going to be it. I can see both things happening, right? I think I called for a gentleman's sweep leading into the series, leading into Dallas and Golden State. I don't know if Golden State's going to come out and you remember against Denver in the first round. They could have ended that one, but they didn't. So I mean, I don't know. So you never know with them, man. You just really don't know. You never know with them at all. And that's the thing that's kind of really annoying about them. But we will see. Jarrell said we definitely won't get in terms of, yeah, man. I don't know. Look, it's a game by game basis to me, almost quarter by quarter. I just sit there to watch and see what, I let the teams tell me what's happening that night because I don't know, man. And I'm not going to try to, oh, man. Kirksey said the Mavs laying down. I would hope that they don't do that. However, like you said, the old heads might want to go ahead and get that extended rest while they're watching what's happening in the Eastern Conference Finals. So that might be enough incentive for Golden State to actually show up and take care of the ball. And we know how they are when it comes to that, because that's all I ever worry about with them is like, are you guys going to be focused enough to take care of the ball? And that's what it is on a night-to-night basis with Golden State. What's going on, Justin?
What's going on, man?
Ain't nothing. Replying to some comments. Jarrell. All right, Dab, I think it would be a statement to sweep the Mavs, but it depends on how bad the Warriors want it. Look, man, we'll find out how bad they want it in the first quarter. The Warriors typically let us know early when they feel like not taking care of the ball, usually within the first 7 minutes of the game. They let us know where they're at. Do we want to start slow? Do we care? Do we not care? Do we want to go back to the Bay? Like, that's the only thing I give Golden State credit for. They typically let us know how they feel about life within the first 5 minutes of the game. And then we'll see from there. Sid said the Mavs felt like they were afraid to shoot last game. I think one of the things I don't think they're getting enough credit for, and I know people, these day and age, people love doing this thing with coaches where if said coach is the player that you like a lot, you give credit to the coach. If you don't like said team or, their collection of players, and you're not going to give any credit to the coach. One of the things, Steve Kerr magically doesn't get credit because anybody could coach these guys. Have y'all seen what they're doing defensively? And I know it gets overshadowed because it's, Luke has been putting up, 35, 40 points a game almost in the series. And it's been great, but it's 1 on 8 in that regard. So, I mean, no one man's going to single-handedly beat somebody all by themselves. They're throwing zones at him. You getting some boxing ones, throwing a whole lot of different things at him. And I think sometimes most people think that's to keep Luke off balance, but I don't think it's to really keep Luke off balance as far as him getting his offensively, but it disrupts the supporting cast because the ball's not moving on time. The ball's moving differently. Luka has to take time and read the floor, make his reads. And then what we saw last game was, especially for Reggie Bullock and Max Kleber, who've been huge for Dallas in this postseason, the switching of the defenses have seemed to disrupt their shooters on catch and shoot opportunities to the point where even when they get it wide open, they're kind of hesitant. And then, come on, man, you go 0 for 10 or 0 for 5, whatever. I think the two of them combined went 0 for 15. You're going to start thinking, you're going to start second guessing things and things of that nature. Regardless, though, they either get it done tonight or they don't. They can stay home and they don't have to travel. Just 1, 2, 3 Cancun. It is what it is. So we'll figure out where they want to be tonight early on. And what they can't do is let Steph start the game on a heater. That's what you can't do. But we'll see, man. And I'm not really mad at Dallas either way. Young team. Shout out to them for taking down the Suns. I think that's where I think maybe people got things flipped. Was going into is, I know the Suns were number 1 seed and yada, yada, yada. Dallas was fine with dealing with the Suns. The Warriors aren't the Suns. They don't do anything like the Suns. Again, when you're on a team where you got one dude as a facilitate for everybody, it's a little bit different than you're on a team where it's just constant moving, man. All of you have to play defense. Not just your 3-and-D guys or your hired guys, your defensive guys. Now, all 8 of you have to play defense. Some of y'all not used to it, and Golden State's annoying. And then, I think I said going into the series, one of the things I didn't like, I think the opening game, Dallas couldn't keep Golden State off the boards. I was like, oh, Lord, this is going to be a long series for Dallas. Because you're giving one of the better – they got 2 of the best shooters ever, and you're giving folks second looks at it. You don't want to give Clay and Steph an initial good look, let alone a second look. But, I mean, we'll see, man. Again, for Dallas – I think Jason Kidd was they seemed like it was weird hearing them post-game last game because it was only, they're down 3-0, whatever, but it seemed like a whole lot of reflection on the season and all that type of stuff. I'm like, y'all, the series isn't over yet. So I'm really interested to see how Dallas comes out, because if they come out, if their actions kind of follow up with what they sounded like at the end of last game, this thing might get ugly. Or they come out, and fight, and that's all you can ask for, man. You go out on your sword, and that's that. All right, Justin, I know there's a couple things you wanted to get to. So we had some wide receivers move this offseason, some veteran wide receivers. Justin's idea was to, because I want to make sure I quote you correctly, ranking the fit of the big name wide receivers that change teams. All these guys are big name wide receivers. We're going to start with guys that could have a heavy impact, right, on their net or on their landing spot, and how it fits. Let me see where we at. I know we got some of the big names for sure. Where are my notes? There we go. All right, I know for sure we got Tyreek Hill going from KC to Miami. We got Devontae Adams going from Green Bay to Vegas. Then we got AJ Brown, who went from Tennessee to Philly. We can start with those three right there. I'm gonna call those. I'm sorry. There's a couple more. Well, no, we'll start with those three, then we'll move down. So we got Tyreek to Miami, Devontae to Vegas, AJ to Philly. Who do you see as the best fit?
I think just in terms of the development of Tua and adding Mike McDaniel, I think that's what Tyreek Hill brings you. I don't think so much it's because there's weapons on the Miami offense, and I think just adding the offensive coordinator, they would have made a jump regardless. With along with Tua's being more comfortable, but adding Tyreek Hill, just his ability to make plays in the short game and the long game, and even just so much threat. I think that's what's going to open up that game, open up that team's game, and having basically like a Tyreek 2.0 and Jalen Waddle, it's like they're going to open each other up. And you might not get as the stats like they're not going to get 100 catches apiece, but you're going to get something where you might have a mixture of more big plays. But then he likes to run with the ball also, so he'll get the touches he wants also. So I think that the effect of Tyreek Hill is the biggest, but like the more I think about it, I think AJ Brown to Philly, I think that's going to be a big one. As long as Jalen Hurts just makes a small step, it's just giving them because they'll be able to throw the ball across the middle of the field, which he really didn't have with the smaller receivers they had. So I think the AJ Brown going there, his ability same to run after catches, but a little differently. More physical player and tone setter. So if I had to rank, I'd probably go AJ, Tyreek, and then Adams. I think the thing with Adams, the question I have is I wonder, he doesn't have that certain. I mean, his more is like his releases. He's a powerful receiver, but I don't know if he's like one of those guys that's like a volume player. If you notice with certain players, it's like Green Bay fed him so much that it was like, at what times was it hurting the team and what time was it benefiting the team? Where these other guys kind of, Tyreek you can sprinkle in at any point and make a big play. AJ kind of similar, but he's used to it, dealing with Henry and Kitty Hill, where like AJ would take over games occasionally too, but usually when they needed it. Whereas with Devontae, the ball was going to him no matter what. And I wonder how that's going to work now, because you still have the Hunter Renfrow, where they feed him in different ways and it's from the slot. So are you able to move Devontae inside like Green Bay did at times? But having Carr's just going to force it to him. Then you have the tight end Waller also. So just trying to see how they try to fit that in, like how that works, because Devontae doesn't have the specific one trait, one skill that you're like, oh my God, we got to back up. He's more like more of a first down guy. He'll get you first downs to keep the chains moving. AJ is a mixture of both, and Tyreek also, but Tyreek is a threat where you have to have a safety over the top of Tyreek. So, Tyreek's going to mix in his touches, and then, which will benefit the team, the whole team.
Yeah, I think the most interesting part about all of it is obviously Carr and Adams have a connection. It's how Carr goes about his business versus how Rodgers went about his business with Devontae. Rodgers went about his business where it was kind of like, I don't see anybody else but you. Whereas Carr going to go about his business where I'm going to exhaust my opportunities and I always got you in my back pocket, that we're always on the same page. That's why I'm interested to see the way that obviously him and Aaron are not on the same stratosphere as quarterbacks. However, I'm interested in see how they go about using a shared weapon because Derek's had Devontae before. And like you said, there's no reason to move him inside, and he doesn't have to move around as much as he did in Green Bay because maybe your quarterback might just run offense.
Right.
There's that possibility too, which is always weird. So I mean, I don't know, man. That's gonna be really, really wild.
You might get more big plays from him, where he won't have as many of the the touches that were forced to him in Green Bay, but because of the other weapons they have, you might be able to see him run deep post or deep comebacks where the attention can't go the way to Green Bay.
Yeah, and the other thing is like Renfro's a demon in the slot. Like you're going to have to deal with that. There wasn't one of those in Green Bay.
Right.
So yeah, like you said, they win differently, but you got two dudes who, from a release standpoint, you're not doing anything with them. You're not doing anything with either one. Like Renfro and Tay are going to be open on a regular basis. And again, what does that do for Waller?
Right.
Like, are you really mad if Waller's the vertical threat out of the three of them? No,
right.
You're not mad. You can't be mad at all, right? That's a luxury.
Right.
So if anything, it's just kind of like, look how that supports Waller. And then the Raiders kind of become one of those teams like KC or San Fran where the tight end is technically wide receiver one. Even though you got freaking Devontae Adams. I don't know, like it's a luxury. I'm just interested in see how Derek goes about it, right?
Right.
Because if you do it where he just happens to be a key part of your offense, it should be fun.
Right. No, yeah, exactly. Also, like you said, the thing about it is a guy like that is like having people want to call him Cole Beasley, but having a slot receiver, Renfro, he's an automatic win on short yardage stuff, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4. Like, so it's hard as much as Devontae's your number one. Beasley in the slot with a two-way go is almost uncoverable. So how does that take away from Devontae? That's the thing where with Aaron, they were going to force the ball to Devontae in a lot of ways, but I think it's a different thing where maybe there's going to be times where you open up where Renfro's going to open up Adams, which sounds crazy, but because you have to take that away because Carr is comfortable throwing to us.
All right, Dab said Carr and Adams have the most chemistry, but I believe AJ would be the best fit. Eagles have a good run attack and Devontae on the other side. AJ can be a better Alshon for Philly. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah.
It could be what they wanted him to be, right? Because they didn't even get all they could out of Alshon for various reasons. So I mean, yeah, they got an opportunity over there, man. I like the fits all three of them, honestly, and I just think it's going to come down to I think Hill's in the best situation because of that freaking system. Because of that freaking system, I have to go him one, and then you could do 1B, 1C with the other two. And the other two, to me, really depends on the quarterback. That's it. And I might give Carr a leg up because he's played with Devontae before. Where Hurts, like, yeah, you can be boys with AJ, but y'all haven't played together. You still got to develop that chemistry where, for the most part, it seems like, Carr and Tate is just training wheels. And after OTAs, y'all should be back on the same page. If you ever lost it, like, who knows? Because not like you throw into a bunch of other stuff.
Sorry. The good thing with all three of them is like there's other talent around them, but they kind of stay out of each other's lanes. You know what I mean? Like, even with Waddle and Hill, their skill sets are so like various, like things they can do with run after catch. Both can jump and can go inside. Waddle can win outside as well. So no one's really gonna, the Raiders have the three guys, the tight end and the receiver. Then they got rid of Bryan Edwards, which opens up more touches because they don't really have a receiver too right now. So I think it just opens up where no one's gonna get in each other's way. So you can be, 80 catches, 70 catches, 60 catches, or something like that, where it's not going to, one guy might not have the 110 or some crazy number, but you'll be able to mix in the big plays along with the touches, keep everyone happy.
I agree with you the whole way. Sid said to it to the moon. I mean, look, man, I think the kid stays healthy. He should be fine in that offense. And again, I know everyone keeps like, oh, he doesn't throw the ball hard or doesn't have a big arm. He threw to a 4x1 relay team in college. Figured it out. We didn't question it then. Just relax. And then even what's it called? He got Waddle for 10 seconds. The ball got to Waddle as much as Tua could get it to him.
Right.
So again, think about the room him and Ty are gonna have to work with. Cause no, ooh boy, I don't want to say that. All right. So no disrespect to Miko Harmon, right? Miko Hardman. Eric Waddle's opposite Tyreek. You know, like to be rude, but Jalen Waddle. I'm sorry, Jalen Waddle's kind of shown us what he is already, or what he can be already. He's been a little bit more productive than Miko, as you know, right now. Like KC's trying to make sure they know what Miko is, possibly before moving on from Miko.
They're trying to force Waddle. They're trying to force Nicole into a role. That's what they've been
Right.
trying to do for the last couple of years.
Yeah, trying to figure it out, right? To make sure like he was brought in to be the number two, the compliment, the tie. Meanwhile, Miami had a compliment ready to go who had to be the one last year. Enter Tyreek Hill. And what Waddle showed us last year was the dude who was known as a deep threat found ways to make it work almost as a possession receiver last year, because I don't know what they was doing on offense. My man was not afforded the luxury to run deep developing routes on a regular basis last year. So we'll see. All right, the next group of guys we had was Allen Robinson to the Rams, Jarvis Landry to the Saints, and Juju to KC.
Allen Robinson, Juju, and who was the third one?
Jarvis.
Just based off of health and other things, I'm gonna go Allen Robinson 1, Juju 2, and Landry 3. And I think the Juju one's interesting because he's something they haven't really had before, and he's shown he can make big plays. In Pittsburgh, he was making, early on, he was making some plays when he was forgotten about, which he will be to a degree with Kelsey and the other things. But he's just going to be a reliable target, and I think it'll make him better. Probably work inside and do certain things. I don't know. He was looked like a star at one point, or a potential star at one point, and then he had the injuries and got passed up by some of the younger guys. But I mean, as long as they allow him to kind of play his game, where he's brings some toughness to that team, some physicality, kind of like what Landry's going to bring to the Saints. But I think Robinson over in the Rams, I think that's going to change. He'll be able to do some of the stuff Robert Woods was doing, and if they don't bring OBJ back, some of the one-on-ones on the other side, he can. There was a time he was one of the better receivers in the game, so it's still in him. And going and getting lost in Chicago for a couple of years probably hurt him, but that's a talented player over there, and they're a team that knows how to use their stars. If you can play, he's gonna design ways to get you the ball. So that's why I think Allen Robinson's he'll thrive over there. And then like I said, Juju, again, they're kind of playing like mix and match and throwing a bunch of guys against the wall to see who can play. But I mean, I think they had an interest in Juju last year where they tried to sign him the year before, and didn't get him. So I think he's a guy Andy Reid had interest in. So there's something he sees in him that he wants to do with him. So I think to work in the middle of the field, and like we were talking about the tight ends, having Kelsey who can stretch the field a little bit will allow Juju to work the middle of the field and mixing a little bit of run after catch and contested catch stuff. And then Jarvis is just a pro, and you just hope he's healthy. And Jameis has no problems throwing the ball into any area. So Jarvis is going to make his plays. Again, he's not a big play guy, but he's a reliable target, which should be interesting to see how him and Michael Thomas work together. Both are can work the middle of the field, work the little short stuff, but they can beat you. If you get two, you start disrespecting them, they can run by you, they can make plays on the ball. So I mean, again, they're not so-called deep threats, but again, they're pros, and they know how to create space, know how to get open.
Yeah. So I know my man's been calling my man Slant God for a couple years or whatever. I'm gonna come off Michael Thomas just a little bit. I think Landy's going to be brought in to be the slot guy, and Mike Thomas might actually be used down the field to use his size, back shoulder fades, things of that nature. Throw the ball up on the top shelf further downfield. No disrespect, not to be rude. Obviously, the previous guy was a Hall of Famer that was playing under center before there. Wasn't exactly known for his propensity to chuck the ball downfield. So maybe there's an element of Mike Thomas's game where he can finally utilize it downfield with that size. It's not like he can't run, but again, Drew wasn't exactly the dude who's going to drop back and launch that thing up there. All right. So I'll be honest here, right? Um, and I think it's just insurance too, in case you don't have Mike. Jarvis is another veteran that you compare because what they're one of the teams that traded up to go get one of those young wide receivers. Yeah, go get you a proven commodity. Because like you said, Jameis not tripping. If it's a throw and he deems it open, he's letting that thing rip. He's not going to ask any questions. He's not second guessing. He's not doubting himself. He's going to fire it in there. Juju, I'm interested to see if Juju's only an inside guy or not. He's got a chance here. Worst case scenario, you kill on the inside and it's cool. You wanted a better slot wide receivers in football. The other side, maybe there's a part of your game that you weren't afforded the luxury to expand in your previous stop. Who knows? What if injuries kept you from that? I don't know. We never got to see because how life went in Pittsburgh wasn't ideal in terms of health, health wise. And then secondly, with what you had outside at the time of like AB, why would you move him? Like, why? Right? So I think that should be fun. And also, like, man, you get to play with Pat. Like, you should be able to figure things out. And again, that's another guy where, maybe, that type of arm, maybe you don't mind using. Like, Juju's put together well. Like, it's not like he can't go downfield and make plays. He's not some tiny little dude. And like you said with the Rams, bro, y'all just let let that man get a weapon like that. Allen Robinson, for everything he's been through, is 28 years old. All the good, the bad, everything that's happened. As a 28-year-old wide receiver that's essentially had like, a year off or something during this stint in Chicago. I mean, he was out there, but we saw what was happening. And now I don't know what you do because now it adds more physicality in a division that you needed. And with somebody like Stafford knows how to throw to something like that. That's easy. And it takes some pressure off a Cup. I don't know, I don't know how many teams got DBs physical enough to deal. Physical enough, and I don't know how many teams got DBs to deal with him and Cooper. Let's keep it a bucket. I'm not even talking about Van Jefferson, who's always out there on the periphery, just ready to go for the Rams. But those two together, that's hell to deal with. And they're gonna ask him to block and things of that nature. That's a big dude. It's a big dude, man. It's a really big dude. Can be used multiple ways. I'm excited about that. All right, we got a couple more guys on this list. Again, these names are going to get a little bit less exciting as we go. We got Martez Valdez-Scantling to KC. You got Sammy Watkins, if healthy, to Green Bay. We got Mr. I Jack the wide receiver market up in Christian Kirk. DJ Chark to Detroit, and then Zay Jones to Jacksonville. With those guys, Justin, what do you like? What do you not like? Or if you're indifferent on any of them, that's fine as well.
Good. Thanks for the option.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing Chark in Detroit. Again, it'd be even better when you see when Williams is healthy also. But Chark has number one receiver ability. He had some really good years in Jacksonville. Then last year, like no one in Jacksonville gets blamed for last year. That's just kind of a Urban Meyer / rookie quarterback / everything else situation. So like you really can't blame anyone for how last year went in Jacksonville. But Chark's proven, he's speedster, has size, he can make plays on the ball. He's a talented guy, and I think for them with the injury risk, they just took a shot on 1 year and listen to the coaches talk. They're hoping that he has a year and they have to pay him. They want to pay him, and pairing him with what they already have as part of that team. I think he's gonna have a big, not a big year, but he's gonna have a really good year because you're mixing in him with St. Brown had they'll just open each other up. And then when Jameson Williams comes back and Hawkinson, they have weapons there and they have a good offensive line. So, I think I'm expecting him to have some big plays and have a really good season. MVS, I think his purpose is really just going to be to stretch the field. He'll get a couple deep shots, but I think they're going to have him running certain routes just to clear out stuff and draw attention away so Kelsey can do what he does and Juju can work the middle of the field and that type of thing. But he even with Green Bay with Rodgers looking for him very rarely, he did make some big plays. And they paid him a decent amount of money to come over there. So I don't think it's just a lottery ticket type thing. I really think they really they wanted this guy. Who else? What was the other big receiver? I don't know. We'll go to Sammy Watkins. I think Sammy Watkins, like, he always plays well, but it's just it's an injury. There's just something not right always. Like even with the Ravens, he made some plays in the few times you saw him, but he's just off the field too much. With that talent, and it's crazy thinking that he came out the same year as Beckham and same year as Mike Evans, and he was the certified sure thing number one. You know what I mean? He was the automatic guy, and we're fighting over everyone else. So I mean, it's gonna be. You hope the theory breaks out. I would love to see them bring in Beckham and put them two together and see what happens with that. But I don't know if Beckham wants to go to the cold or that whole situation. But I hope Watkins stays healthy. I really do. At the end, think about it. Kansas City doesn't win a Super Bowl if it wasn't for Watkins. Him being able to win some routes against Sherman in the Super Bowl that year. So I mean, he's a player. Just can't keep him healthy. And I think you revert back to just being a solid player, which I think he is. I think there's one guy missed.
You left out Zay Jones, man.
Oh, Christian Kirk too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna leave out Zay Jones, but yeah, Christian Kirk is one guy, man. He's gonna be knocked permanently because of Jacksonville paying the money. But who turns it down? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I could take 13, or I could take what I deserve, or I could take 20 if they're giving it to me. I'm taking 20. You know what I mean? You can't be mad at Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk was making plays in Arizona. Christian Kirk is a really solid receiver, above average receiver, but he's being paid like an elite receiver. That's the problem. Not his fault though. You know what I mean? So I think with what they do, he's gonna probably have a really, if you're into fantasy, he's probably gonna have a really good season in relation in terms of that. Jacksonville's not gonna do much, so it's gonna be hard to really tell, his true impact because there's gonna be a lot of losing over there. But he's proven he can win deep routes. He can run with the ball. I think he'll do fine. I think he's going to have a really good season. And Zay Jones actually, again with the Raiders, you've seen Zay Jones make plays. He just kind of career started off kind of weird because of something, whatever happened. So like his career got off a weird start, but he's on his way back. He's proven that he can be a reliable target, and I think that's all you're asking for. I mean, they paid him a lot, but he'll be a solid player as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think what the funny thing about talking about Valdez-Scantling and Sammy Watkins, right? I think they're just hoping that you're looking at a dude with a whole, like, just a super amount of talent in MVS, right? And you're kind of like, it's kind of funny. So if you're looking at it for a traits only guy, it's like it's a lottery pick, right? You're just hoping that you see the traits, you see the glimpses, like, yo, it works. Can I get consistency out of it? So I know what it is. And the luxury here is you can find that out right here because you don't need him to be the guy. However, the better he does, the closer you get to, it's kind of like first go around with Sammy Watkins, right? You had him when he was healthy. You know what he brought to you, the added dimension he brought to your defense, to your offense rather. It's your chance to maybe do that again. Only he didn't put up the body of work Sammy did by the time Sammy got to KC. He didn't have as much production, obviously, but he can fulfill that role. And it's a bigger body. I think that's the other thing too, right? And we're seeing a couple teams go out and do that where you get those targets, you getting some more room for error for some of these quarterbacks with the big arms, where you don't have to be perfect. You already got a lot on your plate as is, and it's go give me somebody where you can go get that. With Tyreek, bless his heart at 5'9", man, he can't get to everything. You got to think about how you deliver a ball to him at times. Valdez-Scantling, that's a height, weight, speed freak. Just get it out there. You figure out all that other stuff later. Get it out there. And then for him, again, it's just a consistency. And with Watkins, Green Bay, like you said, just a veteran target for that young wide receiver room. Because those guys, you want to talk about height, weight, speed, that's their entire wide receiving core right now. Outside of Randall Cobb, which I'm not really counting, but where's the vet? Allen Lazard, your vet? Nah, man, you had to go get somebody for just in case. Because pretty much, like, it's literally Watson and Dubs already. Just be completely honest. The dudes that you drafted, going to play, going to matter, going to have to factor into the season, whether you like it or not. And that's that. Christian Kirk and Zay Jones at Jacksonville. I like it because it's two dudes that are going to be where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. And for a young quarterback, the stuff Lawrence went through last year, I think that goes a long way. Yeah, it's not high end dudes or elite talents, anything like that. But again, if you're going to be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, helps the quarterback out. Just helps them out. And obviously, with the Christian Kirk thing, it's Jacksonville, man. You're gonna have to pay to get people to come there. Is what it is. Gonna have to overpay. And there are dominoes that came up off of that. I love what you mentioned about DJ Chark in Detroit. I've loved mostly everything Detroit's done this offseason. You got Jameson Williams, and you went to go get a freak of nature on the opposite side of him. Now you got two dudes who can run, and you already got somebody who showed you last year in Amon-Ra St. Brown that is a problem in the slot. Like he can get open, he's gonna win more often than not. And you got your tight end at Hockenson. I like it. It's just about the health and getting these folks on the field. But if you get Jameson Williams healthy, get DJ Chark healthy, that's not a bad 1-2. That's not a bad 1-2 punch. And when at the heart of hearts, you're a running team. So when you go play action, those are some good sized targets to be thrown to. At the speed that they move, you could do far worse. And again, Detroit's a running team. Whole lot of play action. That's going to stress defense out. Going to make life easier for TJ Hockenson. I mean, with TJ Hockenson as good as he is, like, bro, you got two dudes who can take the top off every play. Every play. And the release, whatever, regardless, they can go. Really run. Like DJ and Jameson can run. How do you guys feel about Dan Campbell? That's Justin's new favorite coach, man. He's a Lions fan. Go ahead, Justin.
Now I watched they have a behind the scenes show, Inside the Den, I think it's called, on YouTube, man. And just watching that staff with Aaron Glenn and Antoine Randall and I guess seen them coach at the Senior Bowl, man. Them guys, man, they're like teachers, man. They love the game. They're just really into it, man. And they're like really building something there. And I think they're fun. They're gonna be fun to watch. And even just the way they're building it, you can tell they're trying to form a certain identity, and the players seem to love Dan Campbell, and they're gonna get to a point where as much as nobody wants to be in Detroit, they're gonna want to be playing in Detroit. If that makes sense. Like you don't want to, you rather pick better weather and all that, but it's just they have a young staff of good coaches, and I think I'm expecting them to. In that division, they can make a run this year. They can make a jump this year, and golf's solid, and it's gonna come down to that. But I'm expecting them to really compete, start competing. They're regardless win or lose, they're always a team that's gonna be tough to play because they're physical. They went and did their offensive line and defensive line last year, and then this year they started adding some of the skill talent. So they're gonna be a good team, I think.
Yeah, I like where they're headed, man. They remind me of the team I root for. Like in terms of. They're not a team. They're one of the few teams in the league that talks about being physical. It means every bit of it.
Right.
Like to the point where they don't talk about it because they are that. Like they don't have to tell themselves to be physical. It's, it's the Detroit Lions. They're going to put hands on you. And that's what we saw consistently. All the other performances, ups and downs, I don't care about the talent or what have you last year. Dan Campbell has established we're going to come put hands on you. And if you're a team that does not like that, we can be in games with you. Because we're going to put hands on you for the entire game. Don't let us find out you don't like it. On both sides of the ball, they're going to hit you. And that's who they are. And, when we're talking about some teams like in a draft, trying to figure out who teams are, what have you, I like the fact that that's their identity. Like those types of teams to me are easier to look at, determine on where they're going, because then it's about just adding the talent, and it kind of rules out players that can fit there. Because you got to have a certain type of mentality or whatever to play there for those types of teams. Everyone's not built for that. But, yeah, I like them. And especially in that division, where you got a bunch of teams in that division that talk about being physical, they are. They're the most physical team in that division. Then you got, I'm not going to name no names, but you got two of the other three where they talk about being physical. We've been waiting. We have been waiting for their actions to match their words. Rarely do they ever, rarely do they. So, yeah, now I like where Detroit's going, man. And then the luxury is like, they get to do the Denver thing. You've added enough pieces. If you go into next year's draft, you've determined that Jared is not your guy. man, you trade up whatever you need to trade up. You go get you a quarterback because you took the time so far as this roster's been building. You're cool with what you got at wide receiver, right? At least for this year. Like you can add it, and how wide receivers are going, you can add a wide receiver in the second or third round next year if you want to. But you got it. You got your tight end one. You got two wide receivers in Jameson and St. Brown. And if Chark ends up being DJ Chark, he stays healthy enough, it's not hard to keep DJ Chark. I would be more than comfortable giving DJ Chark his money, right? So yeah, they're
well, you know the thing with them that goes unnoticed actually is losing Goff would change their franchise because that's $30 million right there. You know what I'm saying? And you go get a young quarterback, and you have $30 million to move around with. Especially if you end up getting a young guy who's making nothing for 5 years. That Goff money, that's because their money is managed so well, or because they were so bad now. Having Goff making that money is just, it's again, you get rid of that, you open up a spot where you can do different things with signings and whatever.
Nah, you're right. Again, they're in a good place. DJ Chark's 25. That's who they took a 1-year flyer on. A 6'4", 25-year-old player that can really run. That's something people would swing on. That's what KC just did with MVS.
But this guy's produced.
Right? Like essentially. Like at least the Lions kind of like they know, like just for them it's just health with DJ. It's nothing else. Where with the Chiefs it's kind of like, hey, let's see exactly where that ceiling is. Because we couldn't tell in Green Bay. But for all we know, maybe the Chiefs feel like they know where the ceiling is and they're comfortable with that. That's why they gave him that money. So I mean, we'll see. But yeah, man, I love where Detroit's at, honestly. I really do. Anything else you want to touch on, Justin, before we get out of here?
That's good.
All right. So as a reminder, you guys already know you tune in every morning. We appreciate you guys doing so. Anything you guys want to talk about, hit the comment section early, and we'll get to your topics. It's really, really that easy. Follow Kirksey and Sid's example. All you got to do is tune in, hit the comment section, tell us what you want to talk about, and that's that. But appreciate you guys spending time with us this morning. We'll get at you guys tomorrow. NBA playoff wise, but we got game 4 of Warriors Mavs tonight. So tomorrow morning we'll either be talking about game 5 or reminiscing about this series that was the Western Conference Finals. We'll see what ends up happening. Y'all have a good day.